I'm just testing out my live stream. I'm not going to be on for too long like I usually am, but I just wanted to pop in and talk to you guys about what we talked about last week. Again, I'm just popping in to see if we are on the same page. I think we're doing pretty good with my live broadcast today. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing all right. Okay. So I'm just gonna let some more people come into the room. I'm just gonna recap what we talked about last week and get you guys on the right foot as far as what we're gonna talk about for the rest of the week. We talked about targeting in the beginning, and I'm gonna continue on with that theme. So I'm seeing what my stream is doing. So those of you who are listening to me, I'm just gonna give people a chance to come on in. Hey Terriall. Hi Alicia Frederick. Hi Aisha. Hi Sudanese Goddess. Hi everybody. Okay. So if you know anybody that can benefit from today, for any of my hairstylists or any of you guys who know anybody that would benefit from my topics that I talk about on my channel, share this link. Share, share, share. So today's kind of cold and dreary, so if I seem a little down, it's because it's kind of cold here. But as we get along with this live, I'll start to warm up and get more hype. So, those of you who are viewing me, do you have your Instagrams and everything set on public? Last week, we talked about targeting demographics and things like that. So, I'm going to recap what we talked about. But one of the main things was a lot of you guys have your Instagram feeds on private. So that's the first thing. I gave you guys who were watching me last week, I gave you a little bit of an assignment, okay? Take your Instagram feeds off private, okay? Put them on public. Why? Because the majority of us who are selling hair online or thinking about selling hair online, you need people to see your pages. If no one can see your pages, no one can see your products, and you can't make any potential sales if no one can get to your page. So hopefully all of you guys have your Instagram pages set to public, okay? So everybody has their pages set to public, correct? Yes? No? That's the first thing we need to do, okay? That's the first thing. I get emails all the time about help me with my Instagram or help me. I can't make any sales, but a lot of people have their pages set on private, okay? So Alicia has hers taken off. Hers is on public. Okay. Sudanese Goddess, she has hers off public. I know some of y'all watching. Some of y'all might have it set on private. So that's the main thing that we need to do. We need to take our Instagram feeds off of public. We'll put them on public and take them off private. Aisha has hers on public. Okay. Also, like I said, I'm not going to keep you guys long. But did everybody decide who their target demographic was? Okay. Last week, we talked about the majority of women who purchase hair extensions are who? What race are they? Are they white? Are they Asian? Are they black? Who knows? Who is the majority of who we're targeting? What race are they? Okay, black. Correct, Aisha. Black. Most of the people that are going to purchase hair from you are black. Black women, yes. Okay, so we're all on the same page. All right. Also, okay, so everybody in the chat is going to target people who are black. Okay, black women, that's the gender. Okay, cool. We're all on the same page. Now, those of you who were on with me last week, and if you're just subscribed, welcome subscribers. I know a lot of you subscribed to me over the weekend, so I appreciate you. What age range is usually 18, and we talked about 18 to 40, right? So if we are targeting women who are 18 to 40, that's a wide range of women. Okay, that's a huge range. So the reason why we do targeting is because we need to find, everybody who's in the chat, we need to find who our target is within that demographic. Are they going to be young women? Are they going to be middle age, 20s to 30s? Or are they going to be slightly more experienced women, okay, of a certain age, all right? So in what demographic or what part of that target, black women, are you going to target? So did everybody decide? Have anybody ever, because we can't sell hair to all black women, okay? That would be something called mass marketing. We're not going to mass market. We determined last week we're not going to mass market. So we need to target. So everybody in the chat, did you guys decide who you're going to target? Are you going to target young girls, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, early 20s? Are you going to target 24, 30? Okay, Antora said 18 to 35. Okay, who else? Who else? Because I'm interested to see what you guys are deciding. Because from there we can decide our marketing campaigns and what we're going to put on our feeds. Okay? Okay. 18 to 45, Alicia. We got 25 to 40, Aisha. We got Sarvinji. Professionals, 25 to 40. Who else? What else we got? Okay. All right, we got 18 to 35. Okay, what else we got? All right. So, I see we kind of, 25 to 40 is a little broad. We working with something. 18 to 35, I would say 25 to 40 is good. 18 to 35, we working on something. But from those ages, we need to get it tighter. Because 18 to 35, and the reason why we're looking at ages, and I'm gonna give you a little secret. For those of you who have not purchased, I still have $5 ebook. It's available on my website. In that ebook, we talked about young girls, 18-year-old girls. Okay, 18 high school students. Think about when you were in high school. Now, there's exceptions. Some high school students work, but typically they may not have the income to continuously buy from us. So that's why I look at age range. I look at First of all, let's look at the income. I was broke too, okay? I was broke too. So we don't necessarily, depending on the type of hair that you're going to sell, we're going to get into that as well. Depending on the type of hair you want to sell, that's who you're going to target. So if you're selling a cheaper quality hair, you're going to target high school students. Because I know around back to school time, people are tempted to do back to school specials, okay? And a lot of times, okay, the thing is with our ages, you tend to, like you say, you don't have the income per se. We're going to look at the income. So if you wanted to sell the colorful hair, and some people might want to think outside the box and do a lot of crochet braids. Crochet braids uses synthetic hair. I know I talk about bundles and stuff like that on my channel, but for those of you, I know a lot of people come from different persuasions and you do different types of hairstyles. If you want to do, let's say for example, if you wanted to do, say, a lot of crochet braiding, let's say that's your thing. Let's use that as an example. You using synthetic hair, correct? Synthetic hair is cheaper hair. You could potentially make more of a profit off of younger girls because they don't have the income to spend on, say, if you wanted to sell raw hair, expensive bundles, maybe around the holidays when they get, some gifts, some money, monetary gifts, they might be able to spend money on that. But consistently, they wouldn't be able to consistently purchase expensive bundles from you, okay? They're probably going to purchase cheaper quality hair, okay? Now, women who have been working for a while, they're set in their careers, 25, 30, 35, in that age range, is probably who you want to target if you're selling a better quality hair. Say if you're selling standard bundles, your standard steam process bundles. That's what we talked about last week. So when we look at the income level, we want to make sure that we're targeting women who fit into that age range, okay? Based on income, okay? We're going to talk about other factors as well. But right now we're looking at income because the money for us who sell hair, and those of you who potentially are selling hair, is not about being ageist. It's not about judging people based on how they look. It's based on their income, and we want them to continuously purchase from us, right? So it's not about how they look physically. It's about their income coming in, okay? So if you are going to sell, a lot of people want to sell raw hair. People ask me all the time, I want to sell raw hair, I want to sell raw hair. You can target the young girls because they're not going to consistently purchase raw hair from you. So if your hair is not selling, or if people keep telling you your prices are too high, that's probably why. It's because you're targeting the wrong people. Now, before the internet, we used to print up flyers. You could still do that, but we used to print out flyers and pass them out and put them in people's windows. Well, a white man might get your flyer. A black man who's single, who's not around any women, might get your flyer. A young boy might get your flyer. Anybody can get your flyers. That doesn't mean that they're going to come to your salon, because you might pass your flyers out to a bald-headed person. And, if you put stuff out like that, that's mass marketing. So take that same mindset when you are mass marketing on your Instagram pages and you're just putting up bundles of hair. People who buy cheap hair from beauty supply store, they see your raw pictures of your raw bundles and they're like, that's too high. I'm not buying hair from her. So that's where I want y'all to get in your mindset. It's not about how they look physically. It's about the income. Do they have the income? And are they black women? Do they wear hair extensions? Sometimes you may be targeting women who don't wear hair extensions. So that's why I kind of want you to get into the mindset of age and income, okay? So we talked about that last week, okay? So also, you want to think about your potential target, because a lot of times dictates the type of hair that we're going to order from our vendors. I kind of touched on it when I said young girls. If you are looking at selling blonde and long hair, 20-inch bundles, 24-inch bundles, long hair, longer than this, you're going to target younger people. Younger people, typically. Now, of course, there are women who are outside of the 25 age range, but usually, let's think about it. Let's think about someone who's in their 50s. They're probably not going to wear 30-inch bundles. They're probably not. They're probably, not going to purchase long hair. They're probably not going to purchase 3 bundles. They probably don't want a lot of hair. If you think about people who purchase a lot of hair and a lot of bundles, they're probably being swayed based on celebrities. Look at your popular celebrities. How old are they? They're 22, 24, 25. They're wearing the blonde hair. They're wearing the watercolors. They're wearing all those different light colors and purples and pinks and all that kind of stuff. So if you were selling, we talked about 613 and frontals and 360 frontals and all that kind of stuff. If you think about it, either those women are probably going to the hair salon to get their hair done. They're probably going to have decent amount of income. Most of these people are young. They're going to the club. They're also on top of fashions. They're also on top of trends. So if you want to sell a lot of 360? Yeah, 360 frontals. You want to sell a lot of different long hair. You want to sell people 3 bundles at a time. These women have jobs. They have jobs and they're young. So when we talked about age range, 25 to 40 is probably like Sarbenji. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. When she said professionals 25 to 40, typically they're going to purchase like my color hair. It depends on where they work, things like that. So I want you guys to kind of get into the mindset of what your ideal target customer is going to purchase. Okay? So that's what you want to think about. That's what we talked about last week. Okay? So get in the mindset of that. Now, okay, you're like, okay, Rochelle, how does that dictate my Instagram feed? So we talked about Instagram feeds as well. If you caught the live, I showed you guys how to determine what you want to post on your Instagram feeds. We all agreed last week that we're not going to just put bundles on our pages, right? We're not just going to put bundles on our pages. We're going to put different varieties of things on our pages. Women who are in the age range who are buying hair, they're also going out. People ask me all the time about, oh, I don't have hair to post on my pages. Well, you can wear your hair and post pictures of you out and about, because that's what your target demographic is going to do. And when they look at your photos, they're potentially going to be more attracted to a page that has different types of women. If you can, maybe have your relatives wear the hair, maybe have some people that you know, instead of paying, some people want to pay that to have a photo shoot and things like that. But a lot of times when you first start out selling hair, you may not have all those resources. So when you're sampling your hair and things like that, you're going to sew the hair in your head, right, to sample it, to test the quality, right? So when you find a vendor, wear the hair and have someone, a friend of yours or something, take photos, take videos of you actively going places and doing things. And I'm going to be honest, most of the people who are wearing your hair are going out to eat to restaurants. They're going to the mall. They're going to the same places that you are probably going to. So you want to make your feed look attractive to a like-minded person who could potentially purchase your hair. There is a negative connotation. I'm sure you've heard people say this. A lot of people do not want to be followed by hair pages. A lot of people, because the reason why is because a lot of y'all, I don't think y'all would do this, but a lot of hair companies are out there. It's very oversaturated market. So a lot of people just follow people. Follow, 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 follow. They don't engage with anybody on Instagram. They just follow, 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 to the point where people are like, I'm tired of these hair pages. Cause if you post just bundles of hair, people are gonna assume that you're a Chinese vendor. And you know how aggravating those Chinese vendors are. Okay? So don't turn your page into a look like a Chinese vendor page, okay, with just bundles. So black women are attracted to other black women wearing the hair. When you sell products to women, like I said, I always say, we're the only demographic that looks before we buy. So I'm going to tell you, whether you pay for an Instagram ad or you pay for a Facebook ad, they're not just going to instantly buy. They're going to look. They're going to look at your feeds. So they're going to look to see if someone is actually showing reviews of the hair, if someone is actually wearing the hair. Are there, do you go live on your page sometimes? Do you talk to the people on your Instagram? Do you engage with the people on your Instagram feeds? Do you have positive feedback? Like, people want to see that kind of stuff. And think about it. That's what you do. Think about it. When you buy weaves, well, before you knew the tea, okay? Before you knew that you could get the hair cheaper from overseas, okay? Think back, before you knew the secret, think back when you bought weave. Some of y'all bought weave offline. How did you decide that you were going to buy extensions? You probably stalked an Instagram feed. You probably went on YouTube. You probably asked your girlfriend where she get her hair from. She told you. So that's a review. That's positive reviews. Okay? You thought about it. You was like, okay, maybe. You look for some more reviews. That's what your customers are going to do before they purchase from you. Okay? So you have to make your feeds attractive to your potential customers. So let's say you yourself, let's say you're an introvert and you don't go out like that. I guarantee you, some of your friends, families, you got a niece or someone that fits into this demographic. She's young, she goes out. Have her take some photos. Use her as your brand ambassador and do various, like, you could do photo shoots. You don't have to have a professional come in and do a photo shoot to promote your brand, right? You could be a type of, I'm not saying you have to vlog. I'm not saying you have to get a YouTube page. When I say take photos and videos, I'm not saying you have to do all that. You don't have to have a YouTube page, but at least put these videos on your YouTube feeds, or not your YouTube feeds, but your Instagram feeds. Now, as far as Facebook, that's an untapped demographic as well. If you want to target women who are 40 and up, there are a lot of black women who are on Facebook. So if you want to target that demographic, I would say also, if you look at their lifestyle, they may not be going out. They may not go out as often, but they probably wear hair extensions. They may not be on Instagram, but they also want to see someone wearing the hair. So typically, from my experience, and there's exceptions to every rule, okay? They are probably going to purchase shorter types of hair, 14, 16, maybe 12 inches. So you might want to cater to that demographic if you yourself are in that age range as well. So if you are of that age, maybe think about posting photos that look slightly different, but still show people in that demographic how to style the hair. They're concerned about that. They want to know how to style the hair. Not everybody is a hairstylist. So if you get on Facebook Live and show people how to take care of the hair. Those of you, I know there were people who on my live that made custom wigs. There are a lot of women who are dealing with hair loss issues. I talked about that as well. Your grooming practices. Some women, we tend to overlook this, but some women are suffering in silence. They have alopecia. Not everybody is wearing weaves for fashion. Some people wear weaves because they absolutely have to. So that could be a niche within a niche. So they're Black women. They are of a certain age. They are dealing with alopecia, either traction alopecia or there's various different types of alopecia. And some alopecia doesn't have anything to do with, edge loss. People are dealing with losing their edges. So a lot of times that whole demographic is ignored because they don't wear long hair and they don't wear blonde hair and they don't wear the young styles. So you might want to target those types of women. Now, to get an idea of who your target demographic is, we also talked about using your personal feeds. Someone mentioned personal feeds. Okay. If you don't have a business page set up or you don't have any connections to the beauty industry, if you're not a hairstylist or anything like that, what you want to do is you want to look at your current followers, okay? What type of hair? Typically, if you are selling hair, I'm assuming you're interested in hair extensions in some way or form. So I'm sure most of your followers or some of your followers wear hair extensions. See what age range and demographic they are of. If they're younger, you might want to tailor the type of hair that you sell based on those type of women. So if you have a younger following, if all your friends are younger, don't target women who are in their 40s. Target the women who are in your age range and who are wearing, because you know what the trends are. You're closer related to those trends. You know what the trends are. So a lot of people want to sell different types of hair because that's what they want to sell. But you may, if you really absolutely want to sell hair, you might need to think about where you are currently right now. I know a lot of people are on a budget, and I don't know if you've priced raw hair even at wholesale rates. Sometimes those are more expensive. So if you are on a tight budget, you might want to think about selling hair in a certain type of quality. Now, I'm not saying sell horrible quality hair, okay, just to make $1. But if you live in a community or if you live in an area where all of your followers online are 18 to 20 to 25, it wouldn't make sense to start selling expensive hair because you know they're not going to buy that from you. So really think about your current following, okay? So even if you don't have your business page set up, you can take your personal page, change that, or direct people over to your personal page. Because to be honest with you, changing your pages is just a click of a button. You could change your personal page to a business page. If you're going to do that, you might have to clean some things off of your page that aren't hair related, okay? But you can do that. You don't really have to start a whole nother separate page. I know a lot of you, even if you're not a licensed cosmetologist, I'm assuming most of you are selling weave or thinking about selling weave because you probably have some type of hair extension leaning. You probably do hair on the side. You do makeup. You make wigs on the side. So start posting stuff about your business and encourage people who currently follow you to engage with you and let people know that you're thinking about selling hair. This is the type of hair that I'm selling. You could also conduct different polls to try to figure out if they did buy hair from you, what type of hair would they buy. Use that as a gauge on what type of hair you should source from your vendor instead of trying to do it the other way around. Hopefully that makes sense. So Sudanese Goddess asked me, so should I have a personal IG or promoting my hair, or should I make a whole other account? Well, I just answered your question. So you don't have to make a whole nother account if you don't want to. If you do, if you want to keep your whole personal page personal, I totally understand that. because if you have a business page, you do not want to put anything too controversial on your business page, because you want to get people to buy from you, not offend people. So something overly sexual or overly political or overly too controversial, you don't want to put that on your business page. So I'm not saying you just everybody take your personal page and turn it into a business page, but I know most people who are selling hair, you're probably selling hair for a reason. It makes sense to some extent. Okay? Right. So keep your page private. If it's your personal page, I understand why you'll have it private. Believe me, I understand. But if you are going to set up your page, set it up and do what you need to do. If you need to do it separate, because you can have your personal page and then set up another page, whatever makes sense for you. Okay? So that's what we talked about last week. Now, when you go to your hi LS Smith, when you go to your vendors, okay, when we go to our vendors, when we go to Alibaba.com, I always talk about vendors. I'm your girl for the vendor search, right? I'm not gonna make this whole video about the vendor search because I don't want to keep you too long. But when you decide who your target demographic is, it will make it much easier when you go on over to search for your vendors, okay? And a lot of times when we go to Alibaba.com, I'm sure most of you who follow me, you've been to Alibaba.com. When you're searching for your hair, so we talked about our age ranges, okay? If you yourself are in your early 20s, you know what the fashions are, you know what the styles are, you know what the trends are, right? So when you go to your pages, the idea is you're not going to, when we sell hair, think about it. You don't want to put a lot of time into coloring the hair and doing all that. I don't know about y'all, but I know a lot of you, I look at my demographics. I know a lot of y'all are just starting out, okay? So when you go to Alibaba, you don't want to source a lot of hair that you have to color yourself. So if you decided, I base my videos based on the questions that a lot of people ask me. I get a lot of questions about blonde hair every day. When you go overseas, when you look at your overseas vendors, the hair is going to be this color. So I would suggest you source the hair that's already colored. It's not going to be, I'm going to let you know right now, it's not going to be the best quality. I know I talk about that on my channel, but I'm realistic. I'm also realistic, okay? Everybody's not going to buy cuticle aligned hair. Let's be real, okay? So if you're 18, 19, 20, and you're selling hair to people in your age range and you want to sell colored hair, I would suggest you do a poll and see what brands they purchase. If you purchased the ebook that's on my website, you know that I talked about figuring out what kind of brands that these girls are buying. If they're buying a lot of AliExpress hair and things like that, people assume, oh, they're not going to buy hair from me, but they might. If you can decide on the type of hair by asking them, what type of hair would they purchase from you potentially? If it's colored hair, source it already colored. Don't put a lot of stress on yourself trying to get the hair this color, then bleach it, then do all of that. That's not going to happen. One key thing to do is go on YouTube. The young girls, what are they doing? They're dyeing it with Adore. You know the color? You can get colors of the rainbow. Let them do that. Don't put that stress on yourself by doing all that. Don't do all that coloring and stuff yourself. They're going to do that. Okay? So if you can be, that's a niche for you. If you could be the source for that type of hair for the girls you know, that could be your niche. Instead of trying to source hair and bleach it and do all that. I got an email a couple of days ago about someone trying to do all that. Don't do all that, because you're not going to make a profit bleaching the hair and doing all that unless that's what you want to do. But like we said earlier, when we were teenagers, we didn't have the money to do all this. And by the time you bleach the hair, it's going to be more expensive, and it's going to be more expensive, for you. You're not going to make a profit. So if that's what you want to do, and that's the type of hair you want to sell, if you notice on YouTube, they are coloring it themselves, okay? So if that's the type of hair you want to sell, when you go on Alibaba.com, that's the hair that you would purchase, or AliExpress, that's the hair you would purchase. Now, if you are going to sell to women who, someone said in the chat, they want to sell hair to professional women, 25, 30, 35, if that's your age range, when you go to source your hair, you might not want to get it from AliExpress, because those women probably are used to a decent quality of hair. So if you're going to sell AliExpress hair, stick with the young girls. They're always, like I said, they're constantly dyeing their hair. They're constantly changing out the hairstyle. They don't care if it tangles or sheds. They really don't care. Because if you look at the YouTube videos, next week they got a whole new hairstyle. They don't even give it time to tangle, okay? So if you're going to source hair and you want to sell to women and you want to charge a certain price for your hair, a decent price for your hair, you want to go and find a vendor that can sell you hair that is at least 85 to 100% cuticle aligned, okay? That's something that you have to ask your vendor for. However, it's going to be steam processed. People are okay with that. Women are okay with that. It's going to be processed. This hair is processed, okay? It did not come like this. It came from Asia. This is East Asian hair. Asian people's hair is not this curly. I know it's steam processed. Your customer does not care if you're selling it to professional women. They don't care. They just want to look good. They don't want it to tangle. They don't want it to overly shed. They don't want that, because they're probably used to decent quality hair. So if they're going outside of the box and purchasing hair from you, they're probably not satisfied with the hair that they currently buy. So that's probably why they're looking for someone else to get hair from. Okay? So you want to sell a better quality hair to those customers. Then when those of you who absolutely want to sell raw hair, you would have to target women who have decent amount of money, okay, to consistently purchase from you. So that targeting will determine the type of hair that you purchase from your vendors, okay? So if you want to sell the blonde hair and the long hair, the 18 inches and 20, 30 inches of hair, a lot of times some of your raw hair vendors, a lot of times their hair, if you buy the hair that's that long, some of it's going to have split ends. Because if you think about it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's because the person that had the hair, if you think about it, is the longest, the ends of your hair is the oldest part of your hair. So you're going to have to go in. I'm talking about raw hair. Those of you who want to sell raw hair. You're going to have to go in. You're going to have to wash the hair. You might have to trim the ends off the hair and do all that. That's going to add labor to the cost of the hair before you sell it. So if you're trying to sell raw hair, you definitely want to sell that type of hair to women who can afford that type of hair. So you might decide, you know what? I don't want to sell raw hair right now. I want to sell hair to regular everyday women who want decent quality hair. I would say, and we talked about this last week, I would say that's probably the majority of you, unless you, like I said, unless you want to target a younger demographic, okay? So don't beat yourself up. Don't get overwhelmed. Some people, you can't sell everything to everybody, okay? So pick a niche, target that niche, figure out that niche, and decide, okay, that's my lane, okay? Based on that, that's what you're going to put on your Instagram feeds. So women of a certain age, they listen to certain types of music, Women of that certain age, they listen to certain types of influencers and things like that. That is going to determine what influencer you pay. Once you get your Instagram feeds together, then you pay your influencer. By then, you have determined who your target demographic is, so you won't pay the wrong influencer. People want influencers. They want to pay an influencer. But maybe the influencer's target demographic, they might buy a beauty supply store hair, and then you just basically wasted your time, unless that's the type of hair you want to sell. If you want to sell, a lower quality hair, that's up to you. That's up to you and your business. But I will say this. The reason why I don't promote that type of hair on my channel is because a lot of people are asking me, oh, I want to find the best hair. So my demographic, I told them about cuticle alignment. That's why I talked about cuticle alignment. So if you are going to sell the lower quality hair, you have to be upfront with your customers and don't be calling it raw hair and you know it's not raw hair. And then that's going to open up the box of customer complaints, okay? So I just want you to think outside the box with that, okay? So I know most of you probably are going to sell hair within the middle range. Okay, I know a lot of people want to do pre-sales, and I know a lot of people want to use stock photos. But if you can get outside the realm of stock photos, I know people want to do that, but if you can post actual photos of the hair, even if you got 4 or 5 bundles, post photos of that hair instead of just stock photos after stock photos. That is something that will also help you guys encourage people to purchase, or at least encourage people to see that you are a business that's selling actual hair. Just a suggestion. I know people are doing pre-sales, but eventually you're going to have to get outside of pre-sales because your business is going to pick up a little bit. And depending on your vendor, if your vendor can keep up with pre-sales, that's on you. But I really want you guys to understand that when you are, let's say pre-sales, those of you who aren't familiar with pre-sales is the idea that, okay, you have your hair on your website or on Instagram. People say they want to buy your hair. They make a sale. You make a sale. You contact your vendor. Your vendor sells you the hair. So you have to wait on your vendor to send you the hair. Then you take that hair and send it out to your customer. Now on paper that makes sense. And usually that goes smoothly. But sometimes there might be a little hang up with your vendor. Let's say your hair might get caught in customs or something. Or the vendor might shut down for the holiday season. Keep in mind, I don't know why nobody talks about vendors shutting down for the holidays. They shut down, especially most of you are probably using Chinese vendors. They have their own New Year's. They have their own holiday. They're not open all the time. So if y'all doing pre-sales, you got to account for that. So if your order comes in and your customer does not want to hear that your manufacturer is on holiday. So sometimes they shut down for a week. So most of you may not have the plan in place to handle that delay. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So if you're going to do pre-sales, this doesn't really have anything to do with targeting, but I just want to put that up there. If you're doing pre-sales, you want to make sure that it's a smooth process. That's why sometimes it helps to have 4 or 5 bundles in stock. And I'm gonna be real with you, when you first start selling hair, when you try to decide, you in the decide plan phase, you're trying to see what you should put on your websites and things like that. Your hair is not gonna sell like that. It's not. It's not gonna move that fast. So you have time to accumulate hair. Okay, so You might buy 4 bundles. You might buy 4 bundles next week, and like that. You have time to accumulate hair. So it's not like you're going to run out of hair. And if you do run out of hair, that's a good problem to have. The majority of you, when you first start out, you're not going to have that problem. So that fear of not having hair, running out of hair, is causing some of you undue anxiety and anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to run out of hair. You're not going to run out of hair. And if you do run out of hair, that's a good problem to have, okay? Because if you've been in communication with your vendor, you should have that streamline of, you should already know that your vendor can ship your hair to you. But I just did not like the idea of potentially having some hangups there with my vendor. And another reason why is because a lot of people who do pre-sales, you're a small business, okay? Okay, we're all small businesses, okay? So you better wait for that money to clear. People don't talk about that. When someone purchases hair from you, you better wait for that money to clear your bank before you purchase the hair from your vendor. Because what are you going to do? And this happens in internet sales. It's something that people don't like. People don't like talking about. But what are you going to do in that process when someone does the dreaded chargeback? Okay? So you want to have, and this is a tip, you want to have at least a delay, at least a day or so delay to make sure the money cleared your bank before you send that hair out to your customer. Because there's some people out here that are, they're not honest. Okay? They're not honest. So if you send the hair out, okay, and in the process of sending the hair out, your potential customer is telling you, oops, they didn't get it, and they're telling Visa or MasterCard that they didn't get the hair. So you're out of money for that whole process. So for me, to me, I would wait till that money clears my bank. That's just something that I just wanted to put out there. But most of you guys are probably waiting for the money to clear your bank before you're sending out orders and stuff like that. I hope you're not, because then you're basically sending out free hair. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. Since I always talk about the vendor search, I wanted to put that out there. But that's something that happens, and there's pros and cons of everything. Okay, that could happen to you, any business you run. Even if you're selling mugs, you're selling calendars, someone might say they didn't get the product, but at least wait for the money to clear your bank before you send out hair orders and things like that when you're doing the pre-sale kind of thing. I know that's a popular thing to do, but anyway, I just want to put that out there. So when you determine, basically this live, for those of you who are just coming in, this live is we're just recapping what we talked about last week. Now, most of you probably have already contacted vendors. You're on your way to ordering hair and things like that. So I think we're all on the same page with that, right? Everybody has their vendors, or some people still looking for vendors? Okay. Leah's looking for, she's already found her vendor. Okay, cool. Anybody else? So just one person? I know it's more of you. Okay. I just have one still looking for more. Okay, cool. Cool. Don't be shy, you guys. I got 18 people watching me. I know some of y'all being nosy. Hopefully, most of you who I've seen in my chat, those of you probably, I think y'all are subscribed to me. Okay. All right, Miss Robinson. Okay. So, all right. Teosha Love. Okay, cool. So, all of us, whether you found your vendor or you haven't found your vendor. Okay, she's tested them all last year. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna give you guys some ideas on what to put on your Instagram feeds based on your target demographic. Okay, on my last live, I'm not saying you should copy different people, but like I said, you have to think about what your potential demographic is consuming. We talked about makeup. I talked about what is her name? I can't even think of her name. I have one that's pretty good, but what you talking about not having to sell raw hair, I'm reconsidering. Yes. Now the thing about raw hair, let me get on that. You can sell it eventually. Okay? You can sell it eventually. I'm not saying not sell raw hair at all, but I know a lot of people are getting kind of frustrated because their hair isn't selling because they're selling more expensive hair. Now, when you sell more expensive hair, I'm going to be real. Yes, LL Smith, yes. I'm going to get to that. But when you're selling hair at a higher price tag, more people are going to go back and forth with your company and try to decide. Because think about it, it's a commitment. That's an investment. You know, by the time you package the raw hair and all that, as a business owner, you want to sell at a decent rate, right? So to the average consumer, that is an investment. So you might have to build up a little bit more of your sales, a little bit more of your reviews, a little bit more of your customer base to be attracted to the raw hair. You can still sell the raw hair, don't get me wrong, but I don't want y'all to spend so much time in the packaging and all that of your raw hair that people are like, oh, okay, well, I like the hair, it looks nice, but so you don't want to get discouraged. A lot of people get discouraged when their hair doesn't instantly move. So I wanted to give you guys some, little information there. If you are getting frustrated, know that you can still sell your raw hair, but people who buy raw hair, they're a little bit more picky. I'm gonna be honest with you. So they're gonna look for reviews and go back and forth and try to figure out, okay, because it's an investment. So people probably wouldn't buy raw hair from a brand new company without anything on their Instagram feed yet. So you can sell raw hair. I'm not saying you can't sell raw hair, but if you're a new company, you might want to build up a little bit more reviews and things like that, and then unveil, like have different collections and stuff like that. So have different tiers. I don't know if y'all watched the video that I posted where I was doing I did an audit of someone's website, and she had two collections. She had her standard collection, then she had a more luxury collection. You could eventually introduce your raw hair as the luxury collection. By then, you'll have plenty of reviews and stuff on your website. Okay? So picky women, they'll be like, okay, well, she's been around for a while, she's had reviews and things like that, and the hair is pretty. They'll be more apt to purchase from you. But yes, LL Smith, you're the real MVP. Yes, Super Scent Crayon Case. What I was saying earlier was that you have to really think about what your black women, 20s, 30s, what are we wearing? Most of us who wear weaves, we're filling in our eyebrows. We're wearing eyelashes. We're wearing lipstick. We're wearing lip gloss. We're image conscious. So also think of the consumer products that they're also wearing, and different things like that you want to put on your feeds. So for those of you who wear makeup, hey, why not wear some of the products that your potential customers are wearing as well? And like with the crayon case, you could wear some of that, put your photos up of while you're wearing the hair or your, because I reason why I brought that up is because a lot of people ask me about brand ambassadors. Have your brand ambassador also wear that hair. I also had makeup artists following me as well. In my chat last week, I mentioned have, do beat somebody's face with crayon case. Make sure you use your hashtags. Make sure you could even at that company. Okay. And customers who are looking for products like that, they can also find your hair company because the algorithm for Instagram follows hashtags and puts those types of products in front of you, in front of potential customers. So the idea is, if they're consuming Fashion Nova, we also use the example of Fashion Nova and things like that. Keep in mind that's a younger demographic. But when you look at those photos of the girls in Fashion Nova and the women who follow Fashion Nova fashions and they're following, they all have weave in their head. They all have hair extensions. They all wear makeup. So I use that as an example of thinking outside of the box when it comes to promoting your business. Again, instead of just putting photos of your bundles on your Instagram feeds. So kind of cross promote. Wear makeup. Make sure you use your hashtags about different types of makeup you're wearing, different type of clothing you're wearing, things like that. Or if you're not going to do it, use your brand ambassador, okay, to do all that. Those of you cousins, friends, families, you better use it to your advantage, okay? They probably not going to buy hair from you, I'll be honest with you, but hey, use them to your advantage, okay? They're probably using you for something, so use them, okay? So, what would you say to a hairstylist you want to partner with? Okay, so we also talked about kind of partnering with potential other professionals who are also servicing our demographic. Again, because the idea is that if your target is getting their eyelashes done, if your target is going to the hairstylist, most women, I know I do my own hair, but most women don't do their own hair. They go to a hairstylist. So some people might say, oh, well, all hairstylists are selling weaves. Not all of them. There's still a good portion of hairstylists that are selling weaves. They may not like the type of hair they're selling. You just have to step outside the box and see. Okay? So, Afia, I'll talk more about the vendors and all that in a second. So if you have any other questions, we'll talk about that in a second. But partnering with other professionals is something that some people may not want to partner with you. Okay? Some may not want to partner with you, and be real. But if you are professional, and this is when you already have your, Instagram feeds together, you already have everything together, okay? Because most people who are professional, they expect you to be professional. I'm not saying you stalk their customers and sell your hair to them. We not hustle men. I mean, we're going to get on the hustle, but we not hustle men selling hair out the trunk of our cars, okay? What I mean by, and I'm not saying y'all are on that. I know those of you in the chat, y'all not on that. But every now and then, I get people who think that's what I mean. That's not what I mean. If you want to, you could do two things. You could have a party. Okay, you could contact. This is for those of you who are a little extroverted. You could create an event. Okay, kind of similar to people who sell makeup, Mary Kay Avon. I'm sure you've been to Tupperware parties back in the day. I know I went to a lot of Tupperware parties and stuff with my mom. You get together with like-minded professionals and you have an event where you promote your products. So, that would target women who possibly would purchase hair from you because they're seeing your product, they're seeing that you're professional. You could set something up like that. Or you could have a conversation with some of your local professionals and have some type of, this is going outside of the box, but again, those of you who are gregarious and you love throwing parties, why not promote your business that way? Like, have people who are in the beauty profession get together who not selling hair. Ideally, you do not want to partner with other people who are also selling hair. No shade, but that's going to be too much. So maybe eyelash extensionists, makeup artists, caterers. I mean, you have to think outside the box of women who are in your communities, because sometimes you have to sell off of the internet. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you could get a laptop, get somebody's iPad, get your cell phone, and go live at an event like that. Okay? That's something you could do. Think outside the box when co-mingling with other professionals. You can drop off your material and say, hey, I want to do referral for referral, but it depends on how friendly your professionals are. And to be honest with you, a lot of people have that negative connotation when it comes to hair businesses because people treat their business like they hustle men. So you got to kind of get a little creative and you got to be professional. So for me, I would say try to create an environment of like a social gathering and position your products like you have a company, that you have a legitimate brand. Okay, so I just want those of you to get outside the box and think outside the box when you are targeting your target demographics and things like that. So I don't want to stay on too long. Again, if you want to purchase the ebook about targeting demographics, it is available at thewealthyweavologist.com. It's in the product section. So just click the product link and it is $5. Now, next week, well, not next week, actually tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I will be talking about pricing. That's very important. That goes along with targeting, but we're going to talk about how to price your products. There's different factors in pricing products. That's one of the most popular questions that I get. I've done several videos about it, but I've never really got in depth about that topic. So again, this video was just a recap what I talked about last week and to let you know that at 5 o'clock tomorrow, I will talk about pricing. And I'm going to try to stretch it out for 3 days so that we can get all of the basics in place, okay, at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to try to go at 5 on Wednesday and Thursday, okay? So tomorrow we'll be talking about pricing, okay? That's something that I get a lot of questions about. Okay, so I'm going to open up the floor for those of you who have any questions. If it's about targeting or if it's about the vendor search, I know those of you follow me probably are interested in vendor search questions. Again, if you like this information, hit the like button. And if you have anybody that you know that is interested in this topic, hair businesses and hair vendors and things like that, share this live stream. So are there any questions about anything that I talked about? So I'm going to do like 15 minutes and then I'm going to get off of here. I don't want the live to be too long. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I know some of y'all got questions. Okay? Do most processed hair have fillers in it? Well, no, there's different types of fillers. You have animal hair and you have synthetic hair. But most of the processed hair that you can get, it depends. Some hair is chemically processed. Some hair is steam processed. So, depending on what you're trying to sell, like we talked about demographics, I don't know if you were on earlier, but we talked about the blonde hair and all that has been chemically processed because the hair is coming from overseas. The majority of the people over there they got dark colored hair, so it's not naturally blonde. So that hair probably would have some fillers in it. Okay, the lower quality hairs has synthetic fillers and things like that in there. So if you want to sell decent quality hair, I would suggest asking your vendors for steam processed hair. Typically, that's the better quality hair because it's not being chemicals. They're not using chemicals. They're using heat to process the hair. Okay, so not all hair that's processed is technically bad. Okay, but keep in mind that if you want to sell a more decent quality hair, that you want to sell something that is like a steam process instead. Okay, so your kinky curly and all that, you can get that, but it's going to be steam process. Okay, Relly James wants to talk about drop shipping. Did you talk about drop shipping? No, I typically don't talk about drop shipping because either you're trying to start a drop shipping company or you're trying to get on with a drop shipping company. Now, with drop shipping companies, I would suggest if you want to get on with the I don't offer drop shipping, but there are some drop shipping companies out there that you can get on with. Make sure they're established and make sure that they have good reviews before you pair up with a drop shipping company. A drop shipping company will send the hair out for you and all of that. Do your research. Some will do the packaging, some will promote for you. Typically, you're going to have to do your own promotions. So you have to decide who they're going to drop ship the hair to. So typically it depends on the company, but make sure the quality is decent before you partner up with a drop shipping company. If you're trying to do drop shipping yourself, I would say look at the people who are doing Amazon FBA. That market is kind of saturated unless you can kind of figure out. Now, there are some AliExpress vendors that do drop shipping as well if you're trying to do your own. But I don't know if you're trying to make your own drop shipping company or if you are trying to pair up with a drop shipping company. But if you are trying to pair up with the already established drop shipping company, make sure that their hair is decent quality. I want to go back to collab questions with stylists. What type of offers would you offer them? Like a commission for selling your hair? Would you give them some stock? Well, this is the thing. When you are doing commissions and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to keep track of stuff like that. I would say sell directly to the stylist. If you're trying to, you could either be the hair plug, quote, hair plug for your area hairstylist. I would suggest doing that instead of doing a commission because I'm a hairstylist and no shade to other hairstylists, but we kind of flighty. Like, we kind of hard to keep track of. So, and we like do our own stuff. So, trying to sell commission to a stylist is kind of hard. I would say be the hair plug for your area hairstylist if you can. I would say it's probably best to do that if that makes sense. Do you have a video on setting up your site, adding PayPal for purchasing? Well, when you're adding PayPal to your websites, all you have to do is go to PayPal. There's an area where they have their site buttons, their site keys, not keys, but codes. I can't remember what section it is on PayPal. You copy and paste that code on the back end of your website. So where the HTML and all of that is, you want to paste that code from PayPal into your website HTML. So if you're using Shopify or Wix or whatever, they're pretty much all the same. But that's all you have to do is add that code. Is it better to drop ship or send out orders yourself? It just depends on Lovely Lanice Chanel channel, excuse me. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to be more hands off, drop ship. If you want to send out the orders yourself, you have to send out the orders yourself. So it depends on how hands on you want to be. Again, you have to decide what works for you. You know, who do you get to process the hair for you if you buy it directly from India? This is the thing. When you K Kimberly 2004, the hair, this is the thing. When you contact your vendor, you just tell them you want steam processed hair. So just tell them you want steam processed hair. They already know. They're hair manufacturers. They already know how to do all that. So basically, those of you who are interested in drop shipping, if you're pairing up with a drop shipping company, that's more hands off. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But if you want to, handle all the packaging and stuff like that yourself, then you handle that yourself. But you have to really make sure that you know what the dropshipping company's role is before you sign up for the dropshipping company, because there's different dropshipping models. Some of them just ship the hair out for you. You send them the product, like Amazon. You'll send them your product and everything. You tell them what you want to send out. You give them the address and everything, and they'll send it out for you. But then there are established hair companies. That's what they offer. They offer drop shipping. So, you have to decide. Kimberly, you have to be more specific, because I'm not sure what you mean by bid. You talking about if you bid on the hair yourself? I'm not sure. Please retype that question so I understand you more correctly, so I can answer your question better. But that's the difference between drop shipping and doing stuff yourself. So if you want to be a little more hands-on, you have to do everything yourself. That's up to you. Usually the drop shipping company, depends on the drop shipping company, but they supply the hair as well. Okay? I don't want to do drop shipping. How many bundles do you recommend me to start off with? Well, if you do your whole target demographics and everything, it depends. You can start off with 4 bundles. You can stack your bundles if you want to and collect your hair that way to build up your stock, because when you first start out, unless you have customers waiting, it's not going to fly off the shelves like that. You're not going to run out of hair typically. So you can start off with 6 bundles. You can start off with however many bundles you want to. It depends on how active you are in marketing your business. And if you have a line of people waiting, then that's different. But since you're just starting out, you can just start out with, most people buy 3 bundles, 2 to 3 bundles. So if you start out with 4 or 5 bundles, that's fine. Depend on, you're not going to sell out of hair. So don't worry about that. Do you think a brand ambassador is necessary if you're trying to get your hair company more out there, or should you wait to become more established? Well, this is the thing. I want y'all to understand this. Most of y'all are just starting out. I don't know, and this is no shade to anybody in the chat, okay? You don't have to pay a brand ambassador online. You can get a family member to be your brand ambassador. You don't have to have an official brand ambassador. That is going to cut into your profits, okay? So if you are starting out, get somebody somebody that is an extrovert, okay, to get your company out there. You don't have to pay somebody, a street team or people, to get your brand out there. You just, most people's issue is actually having photos of someone who's actually wearing the hair. So have your family members be your personal brand ambassador for your hair company. You don't have to wait to be more established. A lot of you just have to get photos on your pages, on your websites. You could be your brand ambassador, because the people who are, they don't know if you know what I'm saying, they don't know you yet. So you can just use whoever, your friends, your family, your church members. They can be your personal brand ambassador. So you don't have to pay anybody right now. And once you start making profits, yeah, you could pay somebody. But keep in mind, all this extra stuff is going to dip into your profits. How do you fill out order forms for wholesale hair companies? Well, this is the thing. When you contact your vendors, you just ask them for the products that you want, and they will provide that for you. They'll provide you price quotes and all of that. You know how the temples sell the hair at the temples? Let's say you did the same thing. So is there a factory or a company you can pay to process it for you like a vendor? No, there's no such thing. When you contact, go on Alibaba.com. If you're looking for an Indian vendor, contact your Indian vendor of choice and ask them about the hair. They will process the hair for you. There's no separate, they're hair manufacturers, so they process the hair in-house, okay? They collect the hair, they process the hair, and they send you the hair. So whatever hair that you want, you go to Alibaba.com, you search for it that way, and that's the hair that they will send to you. Okay? There's no separate factory. They do everything. You look for a manufacturer. They do everything for you. There's no separate factories. Well, when you wholesale, keep in mind, the reason why I talk about wholesaling on my channel and I talk about Asian vendors, because they are giving you the true wholesale price. If you purchase a vendor from, if you're in the States and you purchase a hair from the United States, that is a dealer. They are doing the same process that I talked to you guys about on my channel. They're doing the same process. Okay, they're doing the same process, and they're contacting the vendors, and they are buying it and selling it to you. So they're going to charge their price to make a profit as well. So it's better to go online and go to the source, contact the Asian companies to get your hair that way. So that's really what wholesale is. That's the wholesale price. Okay? You can contact a company that has been around for a while. That would be the best bet. When you go on Alibaba.com, if you've seen some of my videos, I tell you about looking for a vendor that's been in business for a while. Okay? So that's something. There's no separate company that manufactures. If you contact a manufacturer, they'll do everything for you. So there's no separate. Someone asked about a separate thing. There's no separation. They do it in-house. That's what they do. Manufacturers, that's what they do. Okay? So I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then I'm going to get on off of here. I don't want to go too long. But tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I will be back, and we will talk about pricing. So if you have any questions about pricing, we'll talk about that at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Someone asked, how can you separate profit from spending account? Well, when you set up your business, you would have your typically, if you've already started and set up your business, you will have I don't know what part of the country you're from, but you'll have your EIN number. You would take your EIN number and you would take that to the bank, as well as your articles that you use to establish your business. You would take that to the bank and open your business bank account. That's how you would separate your money. So when you process your payments, you would tell Stripe, you would tell Square, PayPal, whatever, to transfer your funds, your income from your hair sales. You would tell them to transfer that into your business bank account. Okay? Typically, is Indian hair better than hair that comes from China? Well, Indian hair and Chinese hair, it depends on your customer base. I'm gonna tell you right now, those of you who are buying frontals closures, I would suggest, and this is a personal preference, but I would suggest you source hair from China. Indian vendors and other vendors in Asia, Southeast Asian vendors, to me, in my opinion, they don't do that well with closures and frontals. So if you want to sell a lot of closures and frontals, I would suggest you contact a Chinese vendor because they do better, in my opinion, with that. But as far as Indian hair and Chinese hair, it just depends. If you have a demand, I will tell you, if you have customers demanding Indian hair, then do that. But I'm gonna tell you this: don't get caught up in the temples and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you want your hair to be quality. It could come from a temple and still ball up on the back of your neck. So I would suggest, don't focus on that. Focus on if your vendor can provide you quality hair at a consistent basis and you don't have a long wait time. Some of these vendors, they take forever to send your hair. So to me, I don't care if it came from a temple or not. I want consistent quality hair. So again, if you want frontals and stuff, I would say go with the Chinese vendor. But it's all personal preference. Once you start finding hair from a vendor, it's up to you. Some people like Indian hair. Some people like Chinese hair. It's just up to you. You have a packing company. Kimberly, I'm not sure what you're referring to, honey. But on that note, I will get on out of here. Those of you who are wanting to know about pricing, we will talk about pricing tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Again, if you are interested in the $5 ebook on targeting, if you want more information about targeting, that is going to answer the questions for a lot of you guys who are struggling with people pricing you, telling your prices are too high, you're targeting the wrong people. If people are telling you that you don't have what they need, they're telling you, oh, okay, well, I get my hair from another company that's cheaper, you're probably targeting the wrong customers. So you need this ebook. It's at thewealthyweavologist.com. It's in the section where products, you'll see it. It's $5. Again, thewealthyweavologist.com. It's in the product section. Just click on products and you'll see it, and it's for $5. Okay, guys, it's been great. I appreciate those of you who have been rocking with me for the past week. Those of you who subscribed to me, I got about 100 subscribers over the weekend. So that is amazing. Okay, so I really appreciate those of you who have also purchased the ebook. That was amazing too. So again, it's available at thewealthyweavologist.com. You can purchase it for $5. It's in the section where products, and I will post this live. It'll be live for replay. Just give it a chance to upload. And I will also put the information, if you're watching the replay, the information will be in the description box. Okay, you know how I do. I always put those goodies in the description box. So on that note, I will talk to you guys tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We will talk about pricing. Okay, all right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.